Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we got for you today. UK Universal Basic Income. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? SBF arraignment? Oh, there's more questions than answers. Who's the money behind SBF? We're going to take a look. John Deaton and Fox Business News. You're going to want every bit of it. XRP Ledger new amendment. Brad Garlinghouse on what's coming 2023. And what about the unexplainable deep ripple ties to all the money in the globe? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $853 billion market cap for crypto. We're up 1.4%. Bitcoin, 16,800 plus. Ethereum, $1,252.64. Tether market cap, $62.2 billion, they say. And XRP, 34 cents. Good morning, everybody. Glint, baby. Yeah, gold is security, and Glint, it's key. You haven't checked out my sponsor, and I was a customer first. That's how it got that way. Use real gold every day, instant, secure, and reliable money. It is not paper gold. You can get the gold sent to you after a certain amount. And I'm telling you, once you have this, you're going to feel so good because I'm telling you, you're taking control of your finances. You're really making sure that your money is strong because I take my cash, I put it in there, and I convert it to gold, and I could use it whenever I need to. And it is a wonderful, wonderful feeling. Click the link underneath the video. Let's start right here. And here might be a reason or a hint, at least, why you might want to check out Glint. Not financial advice, but take a listen to what's coming in 23 in the UK here.
Today, we've announced that this spring, millions of those on the lowest incomes will get £301 directly into their bank accounts. This is the first of several payments direct from the government to the most vulnerable people's pockets in 2023 and early 2024. In addition, there will be two more payments for low-income families of around £300, meaning they will receive up to £900. On top of this, for many pensioners, there is an extra £300. And for millions of disabled people, an additional £150 payment. This all means some households could receive as much as £1,350. No one will need to apply for any of these payments as they are paid automatically. This is all part of a £26 billion package for 2023 and beyond to help every household in the UK with the rising cost of living. They build on similar payments sent to millions of families last year as we continue to shield those in need from global pressures fueling rising prices.
I tell you, what is it they know that's coming in 23 that we haven't known yet? Well, maybe I think everybody hearing my voice understands there is something coming. And it is not good, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you something, it is not mutually exclusive to the UK. If you're asking Alan Greenspan, give King Valix a follow for that one. And look, Gold Telegraph. I tell you what, shout out to Gold Telegraph. Happy New Year. Always great stuff. Former Federal Reserve Chair Alan Greenspan said a United States recession is the most likely outcome. Here's the problem I have with it. We're already in a recession. You don't get to redefine the term recession after decades and decades of what a recession is. So it's either a deeper recession or it's a depression. I'll let them call it from there. Sam Bankman-Fried arrived in court yesterday for his arraignment. Oh boy, is there more questions than answers. Take a quick look. I mean, geez, you know, if you want to know what the difference between famous and infamous is, it's right here.
Sam, how you going to believe this morning? Guys, I got to get in. I got to get in. Out of mark. Guys, that's it.
And there you have that. Now let's take a look at this. I'm with Mr. Intuitive. What do you need a backpack for? Shout out to Meta Lawman who says, so here's the scoreboard from today's hearing. No mention of the two co-conspirator fugitives. Prosecutors say there's no evidence SBF had anything to do with moving Alameda assets. Prosecutors said that. And the prosecutors and the judge agreed to keep the names of the guarantors secret. Not normal. There are more questions than answers, and you need to hear this right here. Take a listen.
What would it require you to be willing to risk that kind of money? Okay, family relationship. Okay. I mean, I could see that family relationship, but it'd have to be a close relative.
And apparently,
and so his parents don't have that kind of money.
Right?
Is it an uncle? Who is close to him in his family that has $250 million to risk? I say nobody. Okay, so you put aside that it wasn't a relative, a close relative.
So it has to be someone that maybe had a business relationship with him, or
would you risk $250 million to bail out somebody you did business with that you now know is a crook?
I wouldn't risk $250 in that case.
So, where I'm going with this is,
who is it? Yes,
it's somebody who's got skin in the game. It's somebody that wants to make sure Sam Bankman-Fried never talks about what he did.
And they're willing to put up $250 million to secure that.
Because they have assurance from others, don't worry, he's not going to talk. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting back to Sam Bankman-Friedman. Somebody with a lot of money, or two or three people with a lot of money, have a vested interest in this case.
Right. Now,
because isn't this not, out of the goodness of their heart, oh, yeah, I saw that young man. I feel sorry for him. I'm going to risk $250 million on that little creep. That didn't happen.
Now, these guarantors, Rick, are being imposed by a judge. It says, in addition to Bankman-Fried and his parents, the judge asked that the bond be signed by two other people of considerable means, one of whom can't be a relative. Now, the two people haven't signed on yet, but intend to do so by the January 5th deadline, his lawyer said in the letter.
So he was released without the guarantee.
Yeah, which I thought was odd in itself there.
That is odd.
So they have until the 5th to sign on. And part of it, too, it might very well be that they won't sign on unless their names are...
Precisely.
Those two gentlemen, I think, are hitting on it. And that gentleman right there got some street smarts, buddy. Because he knows exactly what's going on. Somebody wants to put that money up and keep their anonymity and make sure that Sam Bankman-Fried keeps his mouth shut. This is the one and only John Deaton right here on Fox Business with Charles Payne. Listen to him give the update not only on Sam Bankman-Fried's not guilty plea, but everything in the Ripple case as well. Take a listen.
From Crypto Law founder John Deaton. John, not necessarily a surprise per se. A lot of folks thought he would plead not guilty, but it's par for the course considering the hubris of this guy. And for me, what I'm concerned about is because I don't want this to be a story about one person's hubris and greed, and I want everyone involved to sort of, to pay a price at least. But what do you make of this so far? What's happened? Even the fact that he's out on bail pisses me off.
Yeah, you have the sentiment of a lot of people out there, Charles. First of all, Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. Great question to ask, because this guy was denied bail in the Bahamas, comes to the United States. He's granted bail. We see him in first-class lounges, and we see him traveling business class. In the meantime, people have lost their retirements. They've lost their life savings. So people are upset about it, and it's understandable. But I do have faith that he's going to see justice, because once you read the transcript of his partners in crime at their guilty plea, we learned that the prosecutors of the Southern District of New York asked the judge to keep it quiet in order to get his consent for extradition, and didn't release their cooperation until he was in custody of the FBI in the air. And when you read that plea agreement, He's toast, Charles. He's toast. But I can understand these questions.
Yeah, of course. And, but I find it amazing that he's gone on websites and podcasts, throwing his girlfriend under the bus, and she did the smart thing, right? She cooperated. He's really going to get thrown under the bus. But I'm talking about the wider picture here, John, right? I mean, think about this. Peter Thiel said it was Joe Bankman's tax law course at Stanford that inspired him to put his Facebook stock into an IRA. It saved him billions of dollars. Caroline Ellison, right, the girlfriend, her mom and dad also know how to work the system, right? I'm talking about people who may have helped design a system that deliberately, in my mind, was deliberately designed to rip people off to the tune of billions of dollars. What chance that everyone involved in this or the key players will really face justice?
Well, that's a great question, and we have to have faith. The Southern District of New York, the U.S. Attorney's Office, has historically been independent, or at least more independent of politics, and the U.S. Attorney keeps saying that there will be more indictments. But I agree with you. When you look at that structure, I'm sure you've seen that organizational chart that his dad had to help him with, and it's sheltered in a way that they don't have to pay taxes. It's a complete money laundering scheme, and the girlfriend, Caroline Ellison, has confirmed that it is all about money laundering and robbing people. She's admitted to it. He's toast. And hopefully, Dad, that you just referenced, he was on the payroll for at least a year.
Yeah.
There's a $14 million vacation home in Mom and Dad's name. Not Mom and Dad's name, for Mom and Dad in FTX's name.
Hey, John, I got less than a minute to go. I wanted to get an update on what's been happening with you. I see some tweets from you, a lot of frustration about Ripple and all and XRP. Just bring us up to speed on what's going on.
Sure. Well, all the memorandums of law and the briefs are in before the judge. The judge may order a oral argument hearing next. That's usually the course. She doesn't have to. And it's really important because the issue, Charles, is secondary market transactions, independent of Ripple, XRP users using the platform. We have a hearing on January 30th involving someone you've interviewed, Naomi Brockwell, where she's never used it as an investment. She uses the platform, and we're trying to convince the judge that the SEC has no right to reach into the secondary market of these users who are independent of these companies. Mm-hmm. But the SEC won't give clarity on that issue.
Well, hopefully we'll get it. We appreciate your wisdom and your knowledge. Happy New Year, John. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Certainly appreciate both of those gentlemen. And I tell you, as we move forward, we're inside 3 to 6 months on a ruling on this case, ladies and gentlemen. And you know what? It doesn't stop the XRP ledger because it gets a new amendment. Yeah, making things better all the time. It says right here, the vote to apply to the new amendment of the XRP ledger reached consensus of 82.35%, with 27 out of the 34 validators voting so far, according to XRP Scan. The vote will last another 2 weeks until January 17th, so let's take a look at what it should change or fix for the XRP ledger. The amendment, very quickly called for Check Cash Makes Trust Line, is designed to automatically create a trust line to hold any XRP ledger token received via check. The innovation is designed to increase the efficiency and speed of the system. When previously, to cash a check, one had to create a trust line for the token being received manually through sending a special transaction. The amendment is more of a patch to an earlier checks innovation, which introduces paper check functionality to the XRP ledger. Although the innovation was introduced more than 2 years ago, the patch to it is only now being adopted. There we have that. Now let's keep moving on, because Brad Garlinghouse says we're expected to see something finally this year, maybe a breakthrough when it comes to some legislation. And hear his tweet on this yesterday. Shout out to Brad Garlinghouse. Happy New Year. Today is the first day of the 118th Congress. While prior efforts at regulatory clarity for crypto is in the U.S. have stalled, I am cautiously optimistic that 2023 is the year we finally see a breakthrough. A thread on why. He says here, in support for regulation is bipartisan and bicameral. It says leaders like all that are mentioned here have publicly supported blockchain and recognized the need for clarity. 2, We're not working with a blank slate. Prior bills have tried to address everything from stable coins to centralized exchanges, RFIAs, and DCA Act, right? Clearer definitions of what constitutes a digital asset security, the Securities Clarity Act, Safe Harbors, Clarity for Digital Tokens Act, and more. No bill is perfect, and there are likely never will be one that satisfies everyone. But perfect should not be the enemy of progress. These proposals provide more than a starting point for debate in this new Congress. The stakes couldn't be higher. Singapore, the EU, Brazil, and Japan all have crypto frameworks, and the UK is well ahead of the U.S., but the lack of coordinated standards globally or any in the U.S. continues to push business to countries with lower regulatory bars, with sometimes catastrophic results. FTX. Changing the status quo is never easy, but I believe that the will to act exists. The building blocks for regulation have already been introduced, and we have a chance to get this right for millions of Americans who already and will continue to be interested in crypto. The 118th Congress has historic opportunity before it to ensure the U.S. remains an innovation leader for decades to come. We hope it's one that they take. There you have it. How about it? Go Brad Garlinghouse. And very quickly here, this here is Advani here from Ripple Asia, policy director, and he basically highlights a couple things here, and I want to just highlight them for you very quickly here. Don't forget that our on-demand liquidity solution is now available in nearly 40 payout markets. This is representing about 90% of the daily U.S. $6 trillion FX market. I hope everyone's getting the power of that statement. This is a significant milestone towards global coverage. Asia Pacific region, we know in particular, has been leading the way and one of the biggest contributors to on-demand liquidity dollar volume. They've also introduced a liquidity hub, and I want to bring you down here. There's a section I highlighted, and I want to read that to you before we close out on this piece. Governments that are reevaluating their crypto regulations would do well to look at Singapore, where a clear licensing framework and token taxonomy have been laid out. Listen to this. Digital assets are regulated either as digital payment tokens. What did we call it yesterday? Same thing that Jim Rickards is calling it. Payment currency, payment token. It's all the same language. Under the Payment Services Act, or digital tokens which constitute capital market products and are regulated under the Securities and Futures Act. This allows for an activity-based licensing framework encompassing a wide range of activities which better facilitates innovation while mitigating risk. The introduction of such robust and well-informed guardrails will protect consumers' market integrity while boosting confidence in the crypto sector. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Crypto has been from the ground up, the bottom up. But that isn't how the internet happened. The internet happened from the top down. Don't believe me? Listen to David Schwartz say it.
About like how to drive adoption. The only strategy that anyone could think of was a grassroots strategy. You know, and that's not how the internet got adopted, right? The internet was adopted by government and military first. So it's
Oh, there you have it. That's why it's so important to get Congress in on this, because once Congress passes something like stablecoin legislation, they're in the game. And then you see that will be the coronation of a government like the United States saying we're coming in and the adoption is beginning to be accepted. That's what we're missing. And as Brad Garlinghouse said, this is the year that hopefully we'll finally see Congress act so we can remain a leader in this innovation race. And the deep global ties to all the money. Shout out to Mr. Poole X for this. Remember Christine Lagarde when she was the managing director of the IMF? How about Thomas Jordan, chairman of Swiss National Bank? Or Elvira from the Central Bank of Russia, all sitting in a room listening to Brad Garlinghouse sitting right there at that table, and this is what it sounded like.
someone from the private sector, Brad Garlinghouse, who is the CEO of the financial technology company Ripple.
I will start off by also thanking Charles, thanking Thomas, thanking Christine. It's an honor to be included. And as was introduced, I think they saved me for last so that I could talk about the private sector version of this. I'll also start by kind of explaining the basics of what Ripple is and what Ripple is not. Ripple is a private company. We're based in California, about 300 or 400 employees around the world, and we're trying to solve a problem. We're selling technologies to banks and financial institutions to solve a cross-border payments problem. To be clear, we have not focused on the central bank digital currency issuance. Our view is very much there needs to be interoperability globally, and even in a world of CBDCs, you still need interoperability to solve that problem. Also, before I dive in, my comments are more focused on kind of explaining how Ripple's approaching this problem as opposed to just CBDCs. But I thought it worth spending a moment on how we think about blockchain at large and why it is such an interesting technology and I think appropriate for central banks and commercial banks to be looking at. For me, the novelty of any blockchain technology is the ability for two parties to transact without trust, but with certainty. So today, anytime we transact, we are transacting through a central counterparty, whether that be a correspondent bank where Ripple is focused, or that be a Visa or American Express, what have you. The opportunity around blockchains is to change that dynamic. And I think many industries, whether it's payments, what we're talking about today, or securities, or even loans, any of those transactions, I think, can be disrupted and made more efficient through blockchain technologies. All right, so with that kind of brief introduction, I'll be brief on some of my comments here because we've touched on this already. Global, I think we would largely have few arguments to the idea that global payments today have not caught up with the age of the internet.
So you get that much of it, right? But then listen to this right here. Remember this old clip of Christine Lagarde as the managing director actually highlighting Circle and Ripple being solutions as we move forward? The deep global ties to all the money. It's quite unexplainable, really. But when you think about where we are today with the lawsuit of the SEC, understanding that Microsoft, Tesla, Amazon were all sued by the SEC as well, these are major factors to me that show that we are being put through an audit and vetting process legally to ensure that this solution for the future is in fact a solution and not more of a problem. That's what I see here. And I certainly believe it doesn't discount the fact that, the lawsuit was certainly used as a weapon in the early days. It just so happens as it has gone, it is served in the later days as an actual insulator of the collapsing market infrastructure around, because XRP is not on all the exchanges the way of the other assets that have been bleeding and suffering at this time. And don't forget, XRP has real use case around the world too. Take a listen here.
Confidence, because you will build that on the basis of an existing backbone, which is your bank and the confidence relationship that you've established with your customers. So that's where I see changes happening now. If you think of Circle and Ripples and all those, that's where they are active and helpful.
It sure is active and helpful, and that's going to do it for me. Hit that like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.